Whenever the Empire and its legion of stormtroopers steamrolled the Rebel Alliance in a battle, the usual protocol was to capture any fleeing or surrendering Rebel soldiers and leaders, rather than just simply kill them on sight. So what happened to rebels that were captured by the Empire? Well, the way captured rebels were treated under the Empire mainly depended on two factors: what species they were, and what rank they held in the Rebel Alliance prior to their capture. If the captured rebel was a non-human alien, who was of no importance, then they were almost certainly going to be turned into a slave, and forced to do hard labor in one of the Empire's many labor camps. One of the most infamous labor camps was on Kissel, where the Imperial slave labor on the planet was forced to mine spice in the most horrific conditions imaginable, with most only surviving for a few months to a year. Others were sent to do forced labor on secret Imperial weapons projects, like the Death Star. Usually once the weapon projects were completed, the slave labor that was used to construct it were all killed, typically by the same weapon they were forced to build. This was routinely done as a means to ensure that the secret weapon remained a secret to the rest of the galaxy. When it came to captured rebels that were human, they were more likely to receive drastically better treatment than their non-human comrades. Although it wasn't uncommon for humans to also be turned into slaves and be sent to forced labor camps, there have been many cases where captured human rebels were sent to more traditional prisons, in which they spent most of their time confined within a cell and were treated like a typical prisoner. When high-profile rebels were captured, like admirals or famous pilots, they were usually interrogated for information. These interrogations almost always involved torture. Once the desired information was extracted, they were likely to be executed shortly afterwards. Those who held very high positions were sentenced to very painful public executions as a means to demoralize the rebel armies and deter those in power from following their path. Although it seems to be protocol to capture fleeing or surrendering rebels, not all Imperials followed this supposed rule, as there have been a few cases where Imperial officers would straight up execute their prisoners after battle rather than send them to a labor camp or Imperial prison. When it came to rebel droids that were captured by the Empire, depending on the model, they usually had their memories downloaded for possible rebel intel, and after that they were either reprogrammed to serve the Empire or were simply melted down for scrap metal. Thanks for watching this episode of The Lore Master. Be sure to subscribe for more Star Wars lore videos like these in the future, and may the Force be with you.